simply installed in position, and this is something many people forget. So Gordon Brown is a false Prime Minister. He was never elected to the post, and he is simply he's simply been the runner for Tony Blair. He's continued to install Tony Blair's policies, while Tony Blair is moved on to become the president of the European Nazi program.
It has been said that if you liked what Hitler did, you'll love what Blair and Brown and Obama has done to bring about a new world order. Do you see a similarity between Blair and Bush and Brown? Do you see the Nazization of America, and are you not going in the same direction as we are financially with the abolition of any currency that is backed by gold or silver, any currency that is backed by anything other than hot air and hand claps?
Well, the three men are the same because they've been liars from the start. They've lied throughout their terms in office. They've lied to the American people, they've lied to the British people, as they have constructed a fascist dictatorship, and we're seeing a totally parallel system occurring. What's happening in America is happening in Britain, and vice versa. So the three men are clearly the same. The destruction of the US dollar and the British pound is also happening in parallel. The American dollar is to be collapsed, and that is going to happen in the very near future. And the American dollar has to be collapsed because the collapse of the dollar is really the only way you can defeat America.
And usher in a new global currency. They're talking about the Amero, and they're talking about the North American Union, the Nazi agreement. I say Nazi because it is Nazi-like in structure, and the collapse of the dollar would be necessary before they could introduce a world currency.
Absolutely. But the other thing the collapse of the dollar is designed to do is to unsettle the whole of the world economies so that the relative wealth of the world can be balanced as they see it. And that means that the wealth of America and Western nations is to be severely depressed to bring us on a par with the third world. We are all to be reduced to poverty, and we are to have private property taken away from us because that is an inherent part of the fascist manifesto.
You have a thing here called the Stonehenge.
We do.
In the United States, we have something called the Georgia Guidestones, which is like the Stonehenge, except that at the top, and if you take a look at the top of the screen, you'll see that their intention is to reduce the population of the planet by 90%.
Yes.
So if we take a look at the population of England, which is about
60 million.
60 million, if we just simply reduced it by, well, 90% of 54 million, then the 6 million remaining could be used as a servant class for the super rich.
That's absolutely true. Slave labor, effectively. But that's what we already are, because we know that we're working for a banking system which is totally fraudulent in its production of money, in the value of money, and in the raising of taxes. We know that we are working in a fraudulent corporate constitution which has been deliberately constructed to deceive the people.
The British Constitution Group is doing something that has not been done before, introducing a new constitution, a constitution that has never been laid out since the Magna Carta. We have an opportunity to guarantee freedoms for these people for all time, and at the same time exposing the banking bastards, that criminal cash cartel that controls our currency and our commerce. This is extremely significant. What are you doing through the UK column to make this dream a reality?
Well, the simplest thing that we've done from the start is we're telling people the truth, and we're telling people the truth about what's going on without mincing our words. We're using real words to describe what's happening. Many people in politics today will not use proper English. They shy away from it under the politically correct establishment. But we started out by saying that our government were committing treason, our politicians committing treason. We know that there is a criminal banking elite established which is ruining the country. And so by telling people the truth, using the correct language, not succumbing to political correct speech, and also ensuring that when we talk to people we provide the evidence for what we say, we are now starting to see a remarkable change in people. In the last year, all of the key activists across the country are saying the same thing, that people are hungry for knowledge. They know that something bad is going on, but they can't quite see it, but they want to find out more. So when they see our work, they read the UK column, or they're looking at videos on the internet, or your work, or all of the other people who are speaking out about the New World Order. These people are opening their eyes, and they even say to you, when I woke up. So they describe the change from the zombie state, which you mentioned earlier, to the state of understanding what is really happening. They've gone from a state of not understanding what's going on but being anxious, to actually saying that they can see what's happening, they can see the betrayal and the treachery and the fraud and the corruption.
Do you welcome the entrance of the Free World Alliance in opposition to the United Nations?
I think this is a fundamental thing, because people need to understand that the United Nations is not a benign or a benevolent organisation. It is 100% evil. The aim of the United Nations is to form the world government, and it is already directing and setting policy within countries. So the American population believe that it is the American government that's setting policy. We believe it's the British government. That is not true. Much of the fundamental policy affecting our lives is coming through from the United Nations.
Now, at your meeting, I stood up and unilaterally recognized a nation of 40 million people, a linguistic tribal nation state in Africa, existent within the borders of what is now described as Nigeria. We can recognize these independent tribal, linguistic, racial, religious, and political nation states around the world.
Well, it shouldn't be we can. We have
we
to.
Are,
we have
and
to,
we shall.
We must, because those are the fundamental building blocks of societies, and that is the way the world is supposed to work. We are not supposed to work in political regions where lines have been drawn arbitrarily on a map. This is the con of the United Nations programme. You've mentioned Africa. We already know that there is a movement to break Africa up into regions.
Well, this would prevent that, and shall prevent that. And the very first nation that we recognized was right there on the floor. Everybody said, yes,
absolutely.
We accept it.
Yeah.
It's simply having an acceptance of the reality that has been denied by the Cassius criminal cartel, the evilarchy.
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. It's not just Patty Chayefsky. Lawful rebellion in the United States and Great Britain. There's two flags up here. We'll bring people on both sides of the pond together. In doing that, in forming a free world alliance, that is our strength against the United Nations. A world free is not united. A world united is not free. I spoke to a black gentleman over here. There's a fellow who spoke, and then there's a fellow who was with him. And I went over and he gave me his card and it said French something or other, and I found out he was with the Yoruba tribe. The clan. The linguistic